She injected me with a bond serum during rescue. Now we're soulbound forever. The quantum entanglement. Commander Nadia Reeves wiped condensation from the viewport of her exploration vessel, the Horizon Seeker. The ship wasn't much to look at, battered hull plates and mismatched components salvaged from a dozen different spacecraft. But it was hers, and it had never let her down. "Commander, we're picking up a distress signal," called Lieutenant Jasper from his station. The young navigation officer's fingers danced across the holographic display. "Unidentified vessel, approximately 3 parsecs from our position. Signal's weak, but I'm detecting life signs." Nadia frowned, studying the coordinates. The signal originated from the edge of the Proxima Rift, a region notorious for pirate activity and worse. "Could be a trap," she muttered. "Or someone who genuinely needs our help," countered Dr. Olivia Reed, the ship's medic. She stood beside Nadia, her dark eyes reflecting the red emergency lights pulsing across the bridge. Nadia drummed her fingers against the console. The Horizon Seeker was a research vessel, not built for combat, but she hadn't survived 15 years in deep space by ignoring her conscience. "Plot a course," she ordered, "but keep our shields at maximum, weapons hot." The Horizon Seeker dropped out of FTL near a derelict vessel unlike any Nadia had seen before. Its hull was composed of what appeared to be crystalline segments that refracted starlight in hypnotic patterns. Scans showed extensive damage to its propulsion systems and life support, and a single life sign, faint but persistent. "Definitely not human," Jasper observed, studying the readings. "Prepare the shuttle," Nadia said, already heading toward the airlock. "Doctor, you're with me. Lieutenant, if anything seems off, don't wait for orders. Get the Horizon out of here." Suited up in her EVA gear, Nadia piloted the small shuttle across the void. Up close, the alien ship was even more beautiful and more damaged. Plasma burns scarred its crystalline surface, and debris floated in a silent cloud around it. "Whatever happened here wasn't an accident," Dr. Reed muttered through the comm. Nadia nodded grimly as she maneuvered the shuttle toward what appeared to be an airlock. "Stay alert." The magnetic clamps engaged with a dull thud, and Nadia activated her helmet light as they entered the derelict vessel. Inside, emergency lighting flickered, casting eerie blue shadows across organic-looking corridors. The ship's gravity fluctuated, making their progress slow and disorienting. "Life sign is stronger now," Dr. Reed reported, checking her scanner. 50 meters ahead. They found him in what appeared to be the ship's control room, a being unlike any Nadia had encountered in her years of exploration. Humanoid in general form, but with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. His hair, if it could be called that, resembled fine silver filaments that floated gently in the weakened gravity. He was pinned beneath a collapsed console, unconscious but breathing. "Help me lift this," Nadia ordered, positioning herself at one end of the console. Together, they managed to free the alien, and Dr. Reed immediately began assessing his injuries. Multiple lacerations, possible internal bleeding, but nothing immediately life-threatening, she reported. "We need to get him back to the ship." As Nadia moved to lift him, the alien's eyes snapped open, all 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern on his face. They were mesmerizing, swirling with what looked like galaxies in miniature. Before Nadia could react, his hand shot out with surprising strength, gripping her wrist where her suit had torn slightly during their rescue efforts. She felt a sharp sting, like an injection. "What the?" She yanked her arm back, but it was too late. Something cold spread up her arm, briefly visible as a glowing blue trail beneath her skin before fatting. The alien collapsed again, but not before whispering something in a language her translator couldn't process. "Commander," Dr. Reed moved quickly to check Nadia's vitals. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Nadia insisted, though her wrist tingled strangely. "Let's get him out of here before whatever attacked his ship comes back." They carried the unconscious alien back to the shuttle and made a hasty return to the Horizon Seeker. In the medbay, Dr. Reed stabilized their new passenger while Nadia paced, intermittently checking the strange mark on her wrist where the alien had touched her. It had faded to a silvery pattern resembling circuitry. "His physiology is remarkable," Dr. Reed reported. "His cellular structure contains elements I've never seen before, and there's this." She gestured to a small device embedded in the alien's forearm. "Some kind of medical injector, but it's empty now." Nadia felt a chill run down her spine. "You think he injected me with something?" Before Dr. Reed could answer, the alien stirred. When he spoke, their translators finally caught up. "Forgive me," he said, his voice resonating oddly as if multiple people were speaking in perfect harmony. "It was necessary." "What was necessary?" Nadia demanded, stepping closer to the biobed. "What did you do to me?" The alien sat up, regarding her with those unsettling cosmic eyes. "I am Thorn, xenobiologist of the Luminar Collective. My ship was attacked by the Voidborn. They seek what I carry." He gestured to the mark on Nadia's wrist. "The essence of synchrony." "You injected me with something without consent," Nadia said, anger building. "Explain now." Thorn's colors shifted to deeper blues and purples. "The essence would have died with me. It is too valuable to be lost. It contains the collective knowledge of my people, gathered over millennia. I needed a compatible host to ensure its survival." He paused. "We are bonded now. The essence connects us at a quantum level." "Unbond us," Nadia said immediately. Thorn's expression, subtle shifts in his coloration and the movement of those filaments, conveyed regret. "It is not possible. The bond is permanent." Dr. Reed's scanner beeped insistently. "Commander, your cellular structure is changing. Nothing dangerous," she added quickly. "But your DNA seems to be stabilizing with new sequences. And your brainwave patterns." She looked up, shocked. "They're synchronized with his." Nadia felt it then, a presence at the edge of her consciousness, alien yet somehow familiar. Emotions not her own, guilt, fear, determination. "Get out of my head," she snapped. "I cannot," Thorn replied simply. "We are quantum entangled now. What affects one affects the other. Distance is irrelevant." Before Nadia could respond, the ship's alarm blared. Lieutenant Jasper's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we've got company. 3 ships just dropped out of FTL. Design unknown, but they're powering weapons." Nadia cursed, already moving toward the bridge. Halfway there, a wave of knowledge hit her, tactical information about the pursuing ships, their weaknesses, their capabilities. "Thorn," she muttered, this was coming from him. Yes, his voice answered in her mind. "The Voidborn. They will not stop until they have the essence, until they have us both." On the bridge, the situation looked grim. The 3 pursuing vessels were sleek, predatory shapes, their hulls seemingly absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "Evasive maneuvers," Nadia ordered, sliding into the command chair. "Jasper, set course for the Proxima Nebula. We can lose them in the ionic storms." As the Horizon Seeker accelerated, plasma fire streaked past their viewports. One hit glanced off their shields, causing the lights to flicker. "Shields at 60%, called Engineer Fujita from her station. "We can't take another direct hit." Thorn appeared on the bridge, moving with surprising steadiness for someone recently injured. "Commander, I can help." Nadia wanted to refuse, to remove him from her bridge and her mind. But another volley of fire rocked the ship, and she felt a peculiar doubling of her fear, hers and his, amplifying each other. "Fine," she said tersely. "What do you suggest?" Instead of answering verbally, he placed his hand on the navigation console. The mark on Nadia's wrist flared with silver light, and suddenly she knew intricate calculations, spatial coordinates she couldn't have processed on her own. "There," she said, pointing to a specific region of the nebula ahead. "Jasper, adjust course to these coordinates." She rattled off a string of numbers that felt foreign on her tongue. The lieutenant gave her a confused look but obeyed. The Horizon Seeker plunged into the nebula, multicolored gases swirling around them. The pursuing ships followed, directly into the trap Nadia hadn't known she was setting. A massive electromagnetic surge erupted from the hidden pulsar fragment Thorn had somehow known was there. The energy wave washed over the Horizon Seeker harmlessly, their shields reconfigured at the last second through some intuition Nadia couldn't explain, but caught their pursuers full force. The Voidborn ship spun out of control, their systems temporarily disabled. "We have approximately 20 minutes before they recover," Thorn stated calmly. Nadia turned to him, questions burning in her mind. Some part of her wanted to throttle him for what he'd done to her. Another part, a growing part, recognized the immensity of what was now contained within them both. "We need to talk," she said, gesturing toward her ready room. "Now." As they left the bridge, Nadia felt the weight of her crew's curious stares. She didn't blame them. Everything had changed in the span of a few hours. "I am sorry for the method," Thorn's thoughts brushed against hers, "but not for choosing you. There was no other way." Nadia shut the door behind them, trying and failing to shut out his presence in her mind. "You've made me a target," she said aloud. "You've changed me without permission. You've endangered my ship and my crew." "Yes," Thorn acknowledged, his colors shifting to a somber gray. "And I have also made you the guardian of something precious beyond measuring. The essence is not just Nala, it is the future of my species, perhaps of many species." He stepped closer. "The Voidborn seek it to destroy it. They fear what it represents." "Which is?" "Evolution, transcendence." His four eyes met hers steadily. "A bridge between species that have always been separated by the vast gulfs of space and biology." Nadia felt the truth of his words resonating through their bond. The sincerity, the urgency, the profound hope. "I didn't ask for this," she said, but her anger was ebbing. "Few are asked if they wish to be part of history," Thorn replied. "But here we are nonetheless." Another alarm sounded, the Voidborn recovering faster than expected. Nadia sighed, straightening her uniform. "We'll finish this discussion later," she said, heading back toward the bridge. "For now, let's survive." Thorn followed, his presence in her mind a strange comfort as they prepared to face their pursuers together. Bound by circumstances neither had truly chosen, yet perhaps precisely where they needed to be. The Celestial Symphony. The Horizon Seeker drifted silently at the edge of the Proxima Nebula, cloaked by swirling gases and radiation that masked its signature from the Voidborn scanners. 3 days had passed since Nadia's unwanted bond with Thorn had formed, and despite her initial resistance, she was beginning to adjust to his presence in her mind. "You're getting better at distinguishing your thoughts from mine," Thorn observed as they sat in the observation lounge. The iridescent patterns on his skin pulsed gently, matching the rhythm of Nadia's heartbeat. "Practice makes perfect," she replied dryly, "though I'd prefer not to need the skill at all." Thorn's colors shifted to an apologetic blue. "The bond will become more manageable over time. The initial blending was unavoidable." Nadia rubbed the silvery mark on her wrist. It had spread slightly, intricate patterns now extending halfway to her elbow. Dr. Reed's daily examinations showed changes to her cellular structure continuing, but they had stabilized into a new equilibrium, neither fully human nor luminar, but something in between. "Your crew is concerned," Thorn said, glancing toward the bridge. "They don't trust me." "Can you blame them?" Nadia sighed. "You hijacked their commander's biology." "Not hijacked, enhanced." Thorn leaned forward, his four eyes swirling with stars. "The essence doesn't just connect us, it's upgrading your neurological system, allowing you to process information at speeds no human could achieve naturally." Nadia had noticed. She found herself understanding the ship systems at a deeper level, anticipating problems before they arose. Just yesterday, she'd prevented a cascade failure in the propulsion system by intuitively rerouting power through secondary pathways she hadn't even known existed. "That doesn't change the fact that we're still being hunted," she said. "And we can't hide here forever. Supplies are limited, and the crew deserves better than being dragged into an interstellar conflict they didn't sign up for." Thorn was silent for a moment, his thoughts churning in a way Nadia could feel but not quite access. He was deliberately shielding something from her. "There is a place we can go," he said finally. "My homeworld, Luminara. The collective's defenses would keep us safe while we consult with the elders about the bond." "And if they can't separate us?" Nadia asked, voicing the question that had haunted her since the injection. "Then they will at least help us understand what we're becoming." Thorn's inner eyelids blinked in a gesture Nadia had come to recognize as uncertainty. "There is more to the essence than I initially explained." Nadia felt a flare of anger. "More secrets?" "Not secrets. Complexities I couldn't articulate before our minds had begun to align." His colors shifted to a deep, serious purple. "The essence isn't just knowledge or biological enhancement. It's the key to an ancient technology, a network that once connected all sentient species in this sector of the galaxy." Images flooded Nadia's mind. Vast crystalline structures similar to Thorn's ship, but on a planetary scale, pulsing with energy that bridged distances instantaneously, allowing communication and travel across impossible gulfs of space without ships or warp technology. "The Harmony Network," she whispered, the name coming to her through their connection. "Yes, destroyed in the last great war with the Voidborn millennia ago." Thorn's filament hair rippled with emotion. "My people have been working to restore it. The essence contains the activation codes, the fundamental frequencies needed to reconnect the fragments that remain." Lieutenant Jasper's voice came over the comm, breaking their conversation. "Commander, sensors detecting movement at the edge of the nebula. The Voidborn ships are beginning a systematic search pattern." Nadia stood, decision made. "Set course for Luminara. Thorn will provide the coordinates." "Aye, Commander," Jasper hesitated. "Ma'am, that would take us deeper into unknown space." "I'm aware, Lieutenant." Nadia met Thorn's four-eyed gaze. "Sometimes you have to choose the devil you know." The journey to Luminara took 2 weeks of careful navigation, avoiding known trade routes and voidborn patrols. During that time, the bond between Nadia and Thorn deepened. She found herself absorbing languages, cultural knowledge, and scientific principles from his mind, while he, in turn, seemed increasingly fascinated by human emotions and social dynamics. Dr. Reed monitored the changes in Nadia with professional curiosity and personal concern. "Your brain activity has quadrupled," she reported during one examination. "It should be causing seizures, but instead you're just processing more." "It feels like waking up," Nadia admitted. "Like I've been seeing the universe through a pinhole, and now the aperture is widening." Thorn, who rarely left her side now, added, "The changes will continue, but not indefinitely. There will be an equilibrium." "And what happens then?" Dr. Reed asked, addressing both of them as she'd begun to do. Neither had an answer. Luminara appeared on their view screens as they dropped out of FTL, a world unlike any in human records. Its surface was largely crystalline, with vast oceans of what appeared to be liquid silver. Cities rose in spiraling formations that seemed to be growing rather than constructed, pulsing with the same bioluminescence that characterized Thorn's skin. "It's beautiful," Nadia breathed. "It is home," Thorn replied, his emotions leaking through their bond, pride, nostalgia, and an undercurrent of apprehension. A transmission came through as they entered orbit. The being on screen resembled Thorn but was clearly older, with filaments that had faded from silver to white and eyes containing not galaxies, but what looked like supernovae. "Xenobiologist Thorn, you return at last." The elder's voice resonated oddly through the translator. We had feared you lost when your research vessel disappeared. Elder Zephyr, Thorn acknowledged with a respectful gesture. I was attacked by void-born forces, but I succeeded in preserving the essence. Zephyr's gaze shifted to Nadia, all four eyes widening. You formed a bond with an alien species. This was not protocol. Circumstances required adaptation, Thorn replied. Commander Nadia Reeves saved my life. She now carries the essence, and it has begun to transform her. Zephyr was silent for a long moment. Bring her to the resonance chamber. The full council must evaluate this development. The transmission ended, and Nadia felt Thorn's anxiety spike. That could have gone better, she said. The elders are conservative by nature, Thorn explained. A human-luminar bond is unprecedented. Will they try to kill me and take the essence? Nadia asked bluntly. Thorn's colors flashed with shock and something like hurt. No, my people are not the Voidborn. They may disapprove, but they would never harm a bonded pair. It would violate our most sacred principles. Nadia nodded, surprised by how much she believed him despite the short time they'd known each other. The bond made lies between them virtually impossible, a fact that brought more comfort than she'd expected. The resonance chamber was at the heart of the largest crystal spire on Luminara. Nadia and Thorn were escorted there by guards whose skin patterns marked them as warriors, their movements precisely synchronized. The chamber itself was a vast dome with walls that seemed to ripple like water, reflecting and amplifying the light from thousands of bioluminescent plants. 12 elders, including Zephyr, sat in a semicircle on raised crystalline platforms. Their combined gaze fell on Nadia with such intensity that she felt the weight of it physically. Step forward, Commander Nadia Reeves of Earth, Elder Zephyr intoned. As she did, the patterns on her arm flared brilliantly, responding to something in the chamber's design. A murmur went through the council. The essence has indeed bonded fully with her, one elder observed. Her genetic structure is already 30% luminar. Unprecedented, another whispered. No non-luminar has ever survived such integration. Elder Zephyr raised a hand for silence. Xenobiologist Thorn, explain your decision to bond with this human. Thorn stepped forward, standing beside Nadia. The Voidborn ambushed my research vessel. I was critically injured. The essence would have died with me, and our generations of work would have been lost. Commander Reeves rescued me at great personal risk. Scans indicated genetic compatibility sufficient for temporary bond preservation. Yet the bond is clearly not temporary, Zephyr noted. No, Thorn admitted. Her neural patterns proved uniquely receptive. The essence chose her. Another murmur, this one tinged with alarm. Nadia felt tension building in the chamber. The essence is not sentient, an elder objected. It cannot choose. Perhaps our understanding was incomplete, Thorn suggested. Commander Reeves has demonstrated capabilities beyond our projections. The integration is proceeding at 3 times the expected rate, with none of the rejection symptoms we anticipated in non-luminar subjects. Nadia cleared her throat. If I may speak. The elders turned their attention to her, clearly surprised. I didn't ask for this bond, but it exists now. Instead of debating whether it should have happened, perhaps we should focus on what it means that it did happen successfully. A new voice interrupted from the chamber entrance. It means abomination. All heads turned to see a luminar male stride into the chamber, flanked by warriors whose patterns identified them as members of a different clan than those who had escorted Nadia and Thorn. His skin was darker than most luminars, with scarlet and gold patterns that seemed almost aggressive in their brightness. Clan leader Vex, Elder Zephyr acknowledged, tension evident in her tone. This council session is closed. A matter affecting all luminar cannot be decided in secret, Vex countered, his 4 eyes fixed on Nadia with obvious disgust. The essence was meant for a pure vessel, not an alien contamination. Thorn stepped slightly in front of Nadia, his colors flashing with anger. The bond is formed and blessed by the essence itself. You have no authority here, Vex. I have the authority of tradition, Vex replied. Our ancestors would never have allowed such a perversion of the harmony protocols. He turned to address the council. I challenge the validity of this bond. Let the resonance test decide. The elders exchanged glances, their colors shifting rapidly in what Nadia realized was their natural form of communication. Finally, Elder Zephyr spoke. The challenge is within Vex's rights according to ancient law. The resonance test will proceed at tomorrow's alignment. What is the resonance test? Nadia asked Thorn mentally as they were escorted to guest quarters. A trial by consensus, he replied, his thoughts troubled. Our bond will be subjected to pure harmonic frequencies that reveal its true nature. A true bond becomes stronger, a false one shatters. And what happens to us if our bond shatters? Thorn's silence was answer enough. That night, as Luminara's 3 moons rose over the crystal landscape, Nadia stood on the balcony of their quarters, trying to process everything that had happened since she'd responded to a simple distress call. You're afraid, Thorn said, joining her. I can feel it. Wouldn't you be? She asked. I'm light years from everything I've ever known, bound to an alien I barely understand, about to face a trial that might kill us both. Yes, he admitted, but I also feel something else from you, something stronger than fear. Nadia smiled faintly. Curiosity. It's what drove me to space in the first place, to see what's beyond the next star, the next horizon. She turned to face him. I'm starting to think this bond wasn't as random as it seemed. The universe has patterns, Thorn, coincidences that aren't coincidences at all. He moved closer, his filament hair gently brushing her cheek. The Luminar have a concept for this, resonant fate, the idea that certain souls are attuned to the same cosmic frequency across species, across time. Soulmates, Nadia almost laughed. That's a bit romantic for a xenobiologist. Science and spirituality are not as separate as humans believe, Thorn replied. The most fundamental particles in the universe behave differently when observed. Consciousness affects reality at its core. A comfortable silence fell between them, filled with the soft exchange of thoughts and emotions that had become their private language. Whatever happens tomorrow, Nadia said finally, I'm glad I answered that distress call. The resonance chamber was transformed for the test, its walls now pulsing with energy that made Nadia's mark tingle and glow. The 12 elders took their positions around the circular platform where she and Thorn would stand. Vex and his supporters gathered on one side, while the crew of the Horizon Seeker, whom Nadia had insisted be allowed to observe, stood on the other. The resonance test will determine the truth of the bond between xenobiologist Thorn and Commander Nadia Reeves, Elder Zephyr announced. They will enter the harmonic field together. If their frequencies align naturally, the bond is true and will be recognized by all Luminar clans. If not, she left the consequence unstated. Vex stepped forward. When this human's inferior biology fails the test, I claim the right to extract the essence for proper preservation. Dr. Reed made a noise of protest from among the Horizon crew, but Nadia silenced her with a look. She and Thorn had discussed their options through the night. There was only one path forward. We accept the test, Thorn stated formally, and we will abide by its outcome. They stepped onto the platform together. Instantly, Nadia felt the chamber's energy intensify, probing at the bond between them like fingers testing the strength of a thread. The sensation was uncomfortable but not painful, at first. Then the elders began to sing, their voices producing harmonic overtones that seemed to vibrate at the quantum level. The energy field shifted, becoming sharper, more insistent. Nadia gasped as pressure built in her mind, threatening to separate her consciousness from Thorn's. Hold on to me, his thoughts came, strained but determined. Don't fight the frequencies, match them. Nadia tried, reaching for the strange new awareness the bond had given her. She could almost see the harmonics as colors, as patterns similar to those on Thorn's skin. Vex's voice cut through the elder's song, adding a discordant note that sent a spike of pain through her head. The human resists. Her biology rejects the true frequencies. No, Nadia gasped aloud. I'm not rejecting anything. She closed her eyes, focusing entirely on the bond, on Thorn's presence in her mind. Instead of trying to match the external frequencies, she turned inward to the place where their consciousnesses had begun to merge. There she found something unexpected, a third presence, neither hers nor Thorn's, but somehow both, the essence itself, pulsing with its own rhythm. Instinctively, Nadia surrendered to it, letting it flow through her as it did through Thorn. The pain vanished, the pressure evaporated, and in its place came clarity. Her eyes snapped open, and she knew they had changed, knew that all four of Thorn's eyes were now synchronized with hers, seeing the same incredible vision. The Harmony Network, not as it had been, but as it could be again, connecting minds across the galaxy. Impossible, Vex breathed, his challenge forgotten as he stared at them. The elders had stopped singing, their expressions showing various degrees of awe and disbelief. The resonance is perfect, Elder Zephyr declared, beyond anything in our records. Nadia and Thorn stepped down from the platform, their movements perfectly mirrored without conscious coordination. When they spoke, they did so in unison, their voices overlapping in harmonics no single species could produce alone. The essence was never meant for one species alone, they said. The Harmony Network failed because it was imposed from above, not grown from within. True connection cannot be forced, it must be chosen, again and again. They turned to Vex, whose colors had faded to pale shock. Your fear is understandable but misplaced. We are not the end of Luminar tradition, but the beginning of something your ancestors always intended, a bridge between worlds. In the days that followed, much changed on Luminara. The Elders' Council, convinced by the unprecedented success of the resonance test, formally recognized the bond between Nadia and Thorn. Vex, though initially resistant, eventually acknowledged the incontrovertible evidence of their harmonic compatibility. The crew of the Horizon Seeker found themselves honored guests rather than suspicious outsiders. Dr. Reed worked closely with Luminar healers, exchanging medical knowledge. Lieutenant Jasper spent hours with Luminar navigators, marveling at star charts that mapped regions no human had ever seen. As for Nadia and Thorn, they began the work of understanding what they had become, not just bonded individuals, but something new, a prototype for connections that might someday reunite the fractured species of the galaxy. The Voidborn will still come, Nadia noted one evening as they stood on the highest spire of the city watching distant stars. They fear what we represent. Yes, Thorn agreed, his hand finding hers, their marks glowing where they touched. But they'll find us ready. Not just Luminars, not just humans, but both, and perhaps others in time. Nadia smiled, feeling the resonance between them hum with possibilities neither could have imagined alone. A harmony of differences. The most beautiful kind, Thorn replied as the 3 moons of Luminara rose over the horizon, bathing them in silver light that reflected in their now identical eyes. Eyes that saw not just the present, but the potential future spreading before them like stars.